I'm just going crazy today. I had some ideas, so I wanted to record some videos. And I got this improved microphone, so I'm recording several things at the same, sequentially right here, to keep myself from tearing everything back down and putting it back up. I've got a really painful one today for you. And kind of my tentative title is, What's Happening in Britain is Democracy. There are people in Britain right now who are being thrown in jail for making faces at people and for, saying certain things, even just reposting things online that they didn't even write. True things even, It's important to remember that this is democracy. This is what happens when you don't recognize limits on the quote-unquote will of the people. Democracy, by its very nature, gives positions of power to people based on popularity. And we all know that popularity contests are not the way to choose the most forward-thinking, the most altruistic people, the most, intelligent people either. We basically create a whole class of experts who mold public... And it can get worse, too, because part of what democracy does is it creates a class of experts who in turn mold public opinion. And when those experts who mold public opinion work together with the people who want public opinion, you got a serious problem right there. Remember, as Hayek said, political power incentivizes the worst possible actors to seek and hold these positions of power. Democracy only really works when the people as a whole reject political power, because otherwise it simply becomes the intention of 51% of the people to exploit 49%. And you can break that down in a lot of different ways, but that is the inevitable result of democracy when the people embrace more and more and more and more political power as fast as they can possibly get it. The self-destructive incentives of democracy are very strong. Even if you have a people as a whole who reject political power, the people who want political power the most are the ones who are going to get into the positions of power. And they're the ones who are going to push ever so slightly, ever so gently, to increase their power a little bit, day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year, term by term. Even in the face of clearly written documents, the government power will tend to grow without limit. Because the worse and worse people are going to keep getting in, and the people who really want power are going to teach others to want power even more. And plus, as the power gets greater, it becomes more attractive to bad people to even bother with. If the government can't do anything, or can only do a couple of little things, then there's not really a whole lot of point to fight for that, for those positions. But every time the government does a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more, you get a stronger and stronger incentive for really awful people to seek those positions of power. If the people of Britain wanted to maintain their freedoms, then they should have guarded them better. Is the sad conclusion that we must arrive at. Basically, they became complacent that their rights were secured in a democratic system, and they allowed, either by deception or by pure laziness, for people to get in who did not have service to the people as their primary goal. And unfortunately now the people in Britain live as disarmed subjects of an intrusive police state. Basically, whatever the police decide to arrest you for, they can arrest you for. And you really don't have any recourse after that. And the fact is that we're not doing that much better here in America. We're kind of in the last stages of an empire collapse into kleptocracy, rule by thieves. Basically, as we've seen, there are these great pushes towards wealth tax, unrealized gains taxes, and price controls. And all these what they are, is a plan by government and its cronies to grab as much wealth as they can before the whole system collapses out from under them. What are we supposed to do in such a situation? Well, guard our value as much as possible. Do things that improve your value that won't be taxed as much as possible. Avoid giving extra taxes whenever you can, and as much as possible, resist the growing kleptocracy as they continue to steal everybody's wealth. Get into real money, whatever you choose to make, whatever you choose to decide to go into. At this point, it doesn't really matter whether it's gold or Bitcoin. Both of them are going to do better than dollars in the medium term. Yeah, that's it. I mean, this is what happens in democracy. People get really complacent about, my rights are secured. I live in a democracy. And then they don't notice around them that public opinion is changing, and all of a sudden their rights are not secured at all. And at that point, there's nothing they can do about it. This is why, I oppose democracy, without massive limits on it. And because, if it's as an anarchist, I oppose involuntary democracy altogether, right? But even in voluntary democracy, there have to be very carefully chosen limits as to what those democratically elected representatives or what the people voting as a body can choose to do. And, it's a philosophical conundrum that you really can't limit the people from doing these things if they really want to. But at least you can, by way of promoting kind of the good side of democracy, you can hope to at least carve yourself out something where you'll be somewhat protected, and hopefully your kids too. Yeah, what's happening in Britain is democracy, and and when I say democracy, I don't just mean democracy in the sense that, we're a constitutional republic. The Constitution is practically a dead letter, and right now, the government and their cronies are trying to steal as much wealth as they can before the whole system breaks down in front of them, because they're not going to fix any of it, right? They're not going to reduce government spending. They're not going to reduce government revenues. They're not going to stop regulating businesses to make it so that certain government-friendly businesses get profits and everybody else gets losses. Kind of a bit of a downer episode here, but I don't know. I just saw, a guy being arrested for speech in Britain, and I just want to remind everybody that this is what democracy is. It is public opinion changing out from under you without you realizing it. And, it's kind of an inherent issue with democracy that with democracy that gives people actual power. Power to do things to people involuntarily against their will, that ultimately results in this kind of growth of government power until you end up in a totalitarian police state. That's all I've got for today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And good luck.